I'm Miles, I'm the research lead at Denzity, and join us for our second episode. This time we're sitting down with CEO and founder Darren to talk about the future of real estate investing. Enjoy.
So Miles, since you are our research lead for Denzity, and then you've been doing a lot of work to understand what's going on in the markets, would you mind telling the audience about what we have found as a group, and also what's the big movements that is going to affect the way real estate is going to be in the future?
So that's the $1 million question, right? The one that's been asked time and time again, especially the last 2 years, since the pandemic, with companies that scrambling in response, right? There's plenty of social political unrest, what's happening in the markets. These are things that we really want to know. But then, as far as we're concerned in PropTech, in terms of the real estate industry, the first that I want to mention of, let's say 4, the first would be ESG. And what exactly is it? So for viewers out there, it's basically a different way of measuring the success of a company beyond the financial books. So ESG, the acronym for environmental, social, and governance factors, right? So how successful are you is not just how much do you sell or how big is your margin, but what are you doing for the community or for the environment, society, and how do you really govern? A lot of this is pushed on by the second trend, the second worth mention, which is sort of the advent of millennial money, right? Increasingly, younger people have more purchasing power, and with that, the trends that we see, the revolutions that we see in the industry are really dependent on them, right? Or the new consumers. And what do those really look like, right? It's their values, their way of life are revolutionizing, and whether that means more co-living, co-working, or whether that means more emphasis on sustainability, right? If you went back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, even 5 years ago, would you have the same consumer response to a company that is party to some sort of environmental violation? My answer would be no. And this is changing, and that's really gaining steam, both ESG and this millennial money. Next, I would say for a third point, something that investors and agencies, companies, everyone should be really aware of is developing countries and second, third tier cities are really being viewed more as spots for viable investment. Because, risks that are traditionally associated with those regions, those cities are going down, and like FDI is going way up. Media, there's sort of like a globalization is all going way up. And so you can look towards Philippines, you can look to Manila or the other metro areas, or Vietnam. Both are fantastic places for, say, commercial investment for like BPO, business processing operations. You look towards mainland China, right? Increasingly, people are looking at second or third tier cities. Second, third tier cities still being metro areas with millions and millions of people, but there people are getting more purchasing power. They're becoming more integrated global citizens. There's more developments. Brands are flocking there. Companies, startups are growing there. So that's a really, really important trend that anyone who wants to be on top of or ahead of the market should really, really be aware of. And something that encompasses all of this, and sort of a plug as well, is the increasing popularity of property technology, right? So PropTech, our own startup is involved in it. And corporates are also, more and more looking towards more disruptive solutions, whether that means the smart building that can be part of your portfolio, or whether that means moving online. Again, if you went back 10, 20 years ago, the idea of closing a deal in real estate online would have been absolutely ludicrous. The idea of someone buying a house, right? Or signing a mortgage on an online platform. Yet, that's happening now, right? Alibaba has their online platform where they're selling houses. It's more of a trend in Asia, granted, but it's one that's picking up steam. And so all of these things are really, I would say, key indicators that people should watch, whether you're an analyst, the business leader yourself, anyone and everywhere.
I think you did a great job to distill the 5 important things that is happening in the global scale. Because I mean, even all intertwined together, right? Like, I remember I looked into the research. It's very obvious that cash is cheap right now. The loan term is cheaper, and then it's the guideline for getting down payment is a lot easier. So a lot of millennials are going to have more power to invest in real estate. And then ESG of the big topic, and even we want to dive into it. There are a lot of things going on that even as a platform, there are a lot of things we have to do to making sure people understand which company to invest in, the trust and confidence, and are these companies doing a good job or not. And then lastly, most important thing is that the global scale is getting bigger and bigger. I feel the COVID and pandemic, or even the time of the cycle, is that everything changed. Before the real estate fund, only look into core asset gateway cities around the world. But now everyone's rushing towards Southeast Asia, rushing towards second-tier cities that will become first-tier maybe someday. And the way we work, the way we do are so different. It's fascinating. I think even the way we invest in real estate is so different in the future.
And also governments are also realizing this as well. So take, for example, our own city, Hong Kong, right? Local area here. The government already, I think in the last few years, has released some really attractive mortgage schemes for young people to really encourage young people in a city that's so expensive to buy their own houses, right? So this is just one example in sort of this whole theater of trends, real estate or not, that people should be aware of. But with all this information, again, all these news, these channels to be tuned into, we sort of know the what or the why of investing now in real estate. But then what is the how, right? Denzity, we were putting forth sort of like bringing real estate online. But I guess my question is, how is the way people are investing in real estate? How is that changing?
So, as a startup founder, we always think about what will become in the future. And I think that we're always ahead of the curve to understand these neurons. So there are 3 things that's very important when it comes to the way we invest in real estate, right? I think you mentioned before about property tech. It's fascinating because digitization of real estate is happening. That's the main thing. 2, the real estate influencers are becoming a big trend, and also becoming something that a lot of people are adopting it. And lastly is about the power of video marketing. So let's start with the first one, right? The adoption in real estate in digital has become such an important thing that is changing, blow my mind even as someone who are in this industry. In China, people can buy an asset online. I used to do the M&A behind the scenes. There's so many things you gotta do. I don't know how they pull it off. And for me, is that I realized that a lot of people, real estate technology is a big thing. And real estate companies are welcoming, open their door and say, you know what, it's time to do something about it. Either internally or externally. Having startups to work together as partners on building a certain cycle of the technology, or from within. So, it's a huge thing that's happening. For investing perspective, when it comes to about the way we do it, people might even buy things online, due diligence online, doing the mortgage and leasing online. And then a lot of people are start looking into ways that how can you shorten the period of time to even find a real estate investment, virtual viewing and so on like that. So I think that will become such an important thing. And then I think that will be a main driver of fast-paced, cross-border investing in real estate. Number 2, influencers. Now, obviously, I think it'd be kind of silly to say social media is not a thing. A lot of people keep saying that before, but now we all know that. And then for real estate investing is that a lot of broker and agencies start using social media as a way to build a brand, using their lifestyle to really promote real estate. Because remember, I'm sure you know, a lot of the older generation always be very high level, say, oh, I'm a trusted party that you can invest in Malaysia, Singapore, Canada, or UK. But now they're okay, it's a lifestyle thing. I'll make it funny, I'll make it interesting. It's about selling the whole luxury vibe, or I'm a hipster vibe. I'm more about down to earth, or the simple person. So a lot of real estate agents, influencers, and experts too are going to this space and utilizing the tools on digital marketing like Facebook, LinkedIn, Baidu, WeChat, and many more to really engage with customers to build a rapport to really tell them about why they should invest in this or invest in me. Believe in me, I am Darren. I do A, B, C, D, E. I have a dog. I have this. I go to this life area. I believe in this. That's why I have this property. Now, there's something that is very interesting because I think that a lot of platforms are underserving these customers, these type of influencers, because obviously compared to a fashion model or Instagram model, cars and a watch and so on, real estate is a more serious type of genre. And then a lot of influencers are not going obviously not going to be able to compete the algorithm when it comes to real estate and competing with fashion and so on.
Yet.
Yes,
So far.
So I see that as a big trend, and I think it will become more and more important. I think they will become a new way of broker and agencies, right? I think last one is the power of video marketing. It's very obvious that video really works. And even similar to how we started these video series so far, right? I thought that is a cool idea to really use videos to demonstrate skill set and knowledge and insight. And now everyone actually becomes like, oh yeah, obviously you're going to use video to explain real estate because it's so complex, there's so many things, but I want them really visual, understanding really well. And then now with influencers and PropTech and so on, it can be funny, it can be interesting, it can be engaging, it can be, the call to action is right there. And that is the main three things that change the way we invest in real estate. And I would add on one more thing is that I think a lot of people care more about the community impact. It's really about the information of the real estate. So I think a lot of platforms or a lot of online medium are going to explore and allow these real estate companies and professionals to tell more about the information about the community, environment, the technology of a certain offering they have. So I think it's a very exciting time to be in this industry. I think 5 years from now, our conversation about the future of real estate is so different because I think it's going to be a massive change and it's only for the better.
I'm definitely looking forward to when we have that conversation. I'll put it down in my calendar. So again, to sum up, we have this importance of influencers, right? It's moving more towards the realm of real estate. It's not just cars and models that you would see on Instagram, but KOLs coming out to speak about the industry itself. And then also, with the advent of digital marketing, applying that to real estate, along with the wave of digitization, right? And in that, I think another really important aspect to consider on, what's going to be the future of real estate investing. It's not so much going to be the traditional. You go to a broker, you go to your agent, and they'll sell you a house here or there, and they're wearing their suit and they're this trustworthy sort of archetypal brand. But that's changing, and we see that with REITs, we see that with digitization, tokenization, and some of the revolutionary ideas from fintech are also going into PropTech and vice versa, where can you compartmentalize ownership? Can you sort of democratize it, for lack of a better word? Can you create a real estate fund? Can you create a real estate token? And again, that's really gonna revolutionize overseas investment. That's going to change compliance law, everything about it. And there's just so much to learn. And again, we won't be even scratching the surface barely with just this episode, but with so much content out there and with so much constant news, how can people really stay in that channel?
Like ahead of the curve kind of thing.
Exactly. How exactly can someone do that, right? With all these topics, how can they be properly educated?
So how is your experience learning about real estate through Denzity?
That's a good question because it's such a massive industry with so many moving parts, and especially if the sole purpose is to really not just bring brands online, right, and help with lead generation, but also providing investment advice that usually they would get through all the steps of compliance and due diligence. That's a lot of work. And that means horizontal and vertical research into all elements of the life cycle, the whole real estate process. And really, I would say part of my answer is the more I realize I know, the more I realize I don't know, which then is going to drive me to go down more rabbit holes and research more topics, right? For example, one video might be on, say, government subsidies for certain buildings in Australia. So one of the videos last week. But then a video down the road might be, how is ESG starting to be implemented in real estate? So not only are they radically different topics, but they're all applicable. And that's not only the nature of Denzity, but also the nature of the market, right? It's almost like you can never stop learning. And that's sort of the entry point for this product, for what we do, right? Because we're that platform. So really helping, being the research lead behind it all, not only is it enormously rewarding, right? You're constantly learning, but then you're also constantly planning, depending on the client, depending on a certain trend, what's the next step?
That's exactly why I love real estate so much, right? Because different type of property that itself is someone's life work already in one market. And you talk about the life cycle, right? From even conceptually buying something, from architect design, developments, to zoning, to buying something, regearing, leasing, and many, many more, is a lifetime work. And then it's something that I realized is that all that, and I think we're very similar, is that we like to learn a lot. And it's very hard to find like things to where to learn it, right? You can learn books, you can through podcasts, magazines, articles, anything you learn from real estate, but you only get like a very thin layer and one side of it. And only if you have a good foundation to understand the bigger picture, then you see in how it works. It's like the whole big engine. So the best way, really, in my perspective, is about having professional grade experts with the right domain expertise and like-minded investors to share their thoughts, to give you to compound the narrative, to understand how certain things work. And then it's kind of a shame because like at first we talked about how the online ecosystem is terrible, because when you look at the online, a lot of people don't realize is that when they search for something, it's actually a lot of different products or hubs they need to use in order to get a result they want. Like for example, right now you go on Google, you search a very big, let's say for example, you want to buy a pair of shoes, right? You go on Google first to say, okay, I want to buy a pair of shoes, okay? Then Google gives you a lot of different hubs, online hubs, like Amazon, Baidu, or the Taobao, and you learn about maybe some particular specialized shoes, right? So there are many different hubs to buy that. So to find those resources, you can go to bloggers, influencers, and many more to find information to give you the best advice you can have, then buy something. But real estate, we know there isn't one at the moment. And then so there's a lot of hubs like AngelList for startups, memes, 9gag for memes, random discussion like Reddit is for that. And then even for investing, there are a lot of different products out there like Seeking Alpha for stock markets. And then there are CoinDesk, Binance, and Coinbase to learn about cryptocurrency investing. But real estate is such an important thing that you need to learn. And then regardless of what you think about real estate, is that is a lot of things to learn and a lot of things to understand before you put a single dime into investing in this industry. So I think that's what is lacking at the moment. And I think collectively, us in the ecosystem online, a lot of different experts around the world can compile together to really come together to teach a lot of people, generations or other people out there, to learn about investing in a certain arena, and they making sure they can put your savings to something that they can build their wealth and capture opportunities.
I think something that is really shocking, if I can add on to that, is earlier you were talking about Binance, you have Reddit, you have all these meta searches for different products, different services. And if you think about how old, how traditional, how entrenched real estate in general is, again, that's a really blanket term. And there's no established meta search for it. But then for something as new as crypto, you already have a handful of different exchanges and platforms that are the go-to authority. So how do you have something on this really revolutionary concept or industry, and not for one that I would say is one of the oldest in human history?
And this is something that I think people misconceptional of what real estate is about. Real estate is such an exciting industry because is one of the most important asset class around the world, right? Like you live in there, you can work in there, you can do something with it, you can experience it. It's about lifestyle, and you're actually every single day you're part of that. And people forgetting is that how important this asset class really is. And then frankly is that, okay, put investing aside. You don't even know how to use leasing. So let's say if you're a tenant, let's say you rent this place, you don't know how leasing works, you don't know how amenities work, you don't know how to negotiate and many more. So you have to understand this kind of arena. And then I think you're right about, I think a lot of revolutionary industry are very welcoming online, and there are a lot of community around the world crowdsources information. And real estate, I think, is only be the beginning because have a bad stigma. People think it's not exciting, it's not interesting, it's not that important. And there are a lot of these startups keep saying that, oh, in the future in the world, no one's gonna own any real estate. We know it's horseshit, right? So I think it's very important to learn when you're younger, understand how you can utilize it. You'll become one of the most important asset class in your portfolio. A lot of people have 67% in real estate alone, even the millionaire, billionaires and so on like that. So let's say if you are someone who make a lot of money from cryptocurrency or stock markets because of the huge, like soaring for the past couple of years, you have to involve in real estate investing somehow. And then maybe you're really good at stock market investing or cryptocurrency investing. Real estate investing is a totally different thing to learn, and it's not complicated. It's really about you start learning and really having the like-minded professionals and the people right domain to show you the rope, how to get towards it. And I think it's one of the most important things that we can deliver to the world.
And it's not going away anytime soon, even if it may change.
Yeah, and then I mean, like, it's exciting, right? Because as I said before, like there are a lot of real estate companies in the past didn't utilize online. Now, as long as we can build these two gaps, from investor want to learn more about it and they want something exciting, engaging. And if the professionals, real estate professionals or companies can provide more content, exciting and interesting, then we can make this hub. So I think where we are going towards from the new way of investing to methods of investing and even why the investing all come together. And I think that's the most important arena to be in. So I think something that I'm very excited for our team to become.
And I think that if we continue with that mission of bringing people from A to B, not only the interested clients or investors, but also the companies themselves, really making the whole life cycle not just much more simple, but also fruitful and rewarding, then that's going to be definitely something to look forward to in the next few years. And we'll continue to have more videos interviewing more people about how the future of investing in real estate, buying houses or anything is going to change. But in the meantime, really appreciate letting us pick your brain and having the experience of an insider, from the fund side and from the startup side, sort of offer your experience.
More than happy to. If anything I want to interject is that for us, we have been stealth mode for so long with our product, and it's going to start coming up very soon. Like for us is that we want to really use these videos and interviews to showcase about what the industry can become. And we have already a handful of clients that already say, okay, these are good companies, these are great partners together, and they really believe this movement together too. So for us, we want to slowly roll out our product. It's still beta mode, and the alpha is coming up very soon for the real estate companies. And I think within a month or 2 months time, our investor side product will be ready. And I think it's something that I'm really excited about. Obviously, we'll do more of these videos very soon. And I actually want the people to know more about you, Miles, because you're the main research guy behind the whole team to really demonstrate what type of geeky, very in-depth information about real estate that they can be part of it too. Thanks for watching. What do you think of this episode? Please let us know in the comment below, and be sure to hit the subscribe button to keep in touch with us for upcoming videos. But before we go, I want to give a big shout out to Patina Design Lab. They're the one who help us in making our brand, our direction, as well as these videos. They are a strategic design consultancy firm to help businesses with a wide range of design services, from industrial design, branding, graphic design, art direction, content creation, and many more. They are a very talented bunch, and I urge you to check out their website for their work. That's all for today, and see you next time. Cheers.